Right, James, we're looking at the big meeting at Fairyhouse on Sunday in the Powers Gold Cup, Grade 1 chase, 2.5 mile. Absolutely bottomless going, without a shadow of a doubt. Tough race.
Very tough race. Only one of these figured at Cheltenham, Nicanor. In all honesty, they've all been laid out and trained for it. I think you probably need something that's going to stay beyond 2.5 miles, but that's a bit obvious, isn't it? I'm getting drawn actually after looking at the betting towards the race at Turles between Jago's Mill and Kempes. I think Kempes is about 8 and Jago's Mill's 17-2 or 15-2. That's in the right sort of price range for me in this race. I think both of those horses are progressive, and both of them are arguably running over the right trip. In fact, I'd prefer Jago's Mill's over 3 miles, but I think 2.5 is going to suit him. I thought Davy Russell didn't make enough use of this horse last time.
Yeah, it wasn't as stiff a test as it could have been. Because a lot of people had Kempes down as a potential non-stayer
yeah,
that trip as well, didn't they? So,
I mean, would you worry about Kempes' stamina after seeing that race?
Not really, because he won it so well. But I mean, this is probably going to be a much stiffer test of his ability, and I personally prefer some others in the race.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I mean, in all honesty, I'm going to go with Jago's Mills. I've been following him all season, and I felt he was a little bit unlucky last time and needed to test Kempes' his stamina doubts, and this will give him an opportunity to do that. And I think the race should be run to suit him. I think Let Yourself Go is going to be a nice lead, and then hopefully Jago's can take it up, maybe sort of 2 or 3 out and really try and stretch them. But let's face it, this is a really decent grade one.
I mean, I am a fan of. What on the face of it looks a very dodgy jumper, but trained by Colin Murphy and Zorito, who's fallen 3 of his 6 chase starts. But he's essentially a very, very good jumper who makes one bad mistake and comes down. I thought he was really impressive last time. Obviously, it was a confidence booster. I think he would have won the Moriarty the time before, but Citizen Vic, sadly ill-fated Citizen Vic, won. I think as a proper Grade 1 horse, he would almost certainly have gone to Cheltenham if he hadn't have had that fall. And may have been a player, for places in the Arkle. He does stay and he goes on the ground. I quite like him.
Are you happy at 9-4, 5-2 to play?
It's short enough. It's short enough, isn't it? Because you've got that worry about his jumping. And the other one, the other one that's going forward fairly quickly is Let Yourself Go.
Yeah.
He's only won up to 2 mile 2 over fences, but he just looks like a horse that wants to go further, and the further he goes, the better he'll get. Adrian Maguire seems to think he's got a really, really decent horse on his hands, so slightly less exposed.
Yeah,
quite like him.
I mean, I think Let Yourself Go might end up being a little bit of a hare, but who's to say he hasn't got the talent now stepping up in trip? Zorito, I think you're absolutely right. If I had to name a horse that the conditions suit perfectly, trip-wise, it's him. I think he's got a huge engine. In many ways, he's a bit like stablemate Big Zeb. I think if he bounces out and gets into a rhythm, then he's the one to beat here. But I can't escape the fact he's got 3 falls by his name from his last 6 starts, and it's purely down to the prices. So I'm going to go with Jago's Mill each way, although I do have massive respect for Zorito. I got a feeling that Kempes might finish in front of Shakerville. So what do you think about the two Mullins runners?
I quite like Shakerville.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit late getting going with the chase, I suppose. Only 2 starts. They were going to go for the Arkle for it, but obviously I don't think they, with the ground drying up, they wanted to run it there. So it does stay. Another decent horse makes it really a really hard race. I'm leaning towards Let Yourself Go.
Okay.
But I do think if Zorito puts in a clear round of jumping, he'll probably win.